California is in the midst of a water crisis that needs immediate attention. This isn't just any crisis, we're talking about a state that's massive in both size and importance. Spanning over 163,696 square miles, California is the third largest state in the United States. But it's not just about being big and mighty, it's about the dire need to transport water over long distances from the water-rich north to the parched south. And as if that's not bad enough, climate change is making things even worse. So what's the grand plan to tackle this mess? And will it be enough to finally put this issue to rest? Let's find out. With diverse climate zones ranging from arid deserts to lush valleys, each with its own water needs and challenges, California's got a lot on its plate. And let's not forget about the Central Valley, one of the most productive agricultural regions in the world. This place relies heavily on irrigation, and any water shortages could spell disaster for food production, impacting both local and national supplies. We're talking about a significant part of California's economy here. Water scarcity could lead to reduced crop yields, job losses, and economic instability in farming communities. It's a big deal. So what's the deal with this water problem anyway? Well, most of California's rain and snowfall happens up north in the mountainous regions. As much as 75% of the state's available water supply is up there too, north of Sacramento. Meanwhile, the majority of urban and agricultural water demand is down south in places like the Central Valley, Los Angeles, and San Diego. But how has California managed to sustain its ever-growing population and industries despite this inherent lack of water? Sure, California has implemented some strategies to manage its water resources, but let's be real, are they really enough? Water conservation is all well and good, but it's like putting a band-aid on a gaping wound. Sure, residents and industries are adopting water-saving measures, but is it really making a dent in the problem? We need more than just low-flow toilets and reduced lawn irrigation to tackle this crisis. California has also invested heavily in water recycling projects, turning treated wastewater into a valuable resource for agricultural irrigation, industrial processes, and replenishing groundwater supplies. And let's not forget about desalination, the process of turning seawater into drinkable water. Sure, it's expensive, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Then there's the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, which sounds great on paper. Regulating groundwater use and monitoring levels is all fine and good, but is it really enough to prevent over-extraction? At this point, California needs more than just monitoring, it needs action. Water transfers are also in play, allowing water to be moved from areas with surplus to those with high demand. And let's not forget about the existing projects like the Central Valley Project and the State Water Project. These behemoths of engineering move millions of acre-feet of water each year, keeping the state afloat, literally. But despite all these efforts, is it enough to solve California's water problem? Absolutely not. The state is facing a crisis of monumental proportions, and it's going to take more than just a few water-saving measures to turn the tide. Also, California needs innovative solutions for the 21st century, not relying on projects from the 1960s and 1970s, especially because of the looming threat of earthquakes. California is expecting a major one in the next 10 years, and our aging water infrastructure might not be strong enough. Luckily, the California Department of Water Resources has a plan up its sleeve. They're gearing up to give the supply of water south of the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta a much-needed makeover. We're talking about upgrading, disaster-proofing, and future-proofing the whole shebang. But now, the big question is, will the new plan finally put an end to California's water predicament? The proposed Delta Conveyance project is not just massive, it's astronomically expensive with a price tag of over $20 billion. Now, you might be wondering, what on earth could possibly justify such an exorbitant cost? This project involves building a 45-mile-long, 36-foot-wide tunnel to transport a mind-boggling 161 million gallons of water per hour from the Sacramento River into nearby aqueducts. That's enough water to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool every 3 minutes. Proponents of the project argue that the benefits far outweigh the costs. They claim that the tunnel will bolster California's water supply, providing much-needed relief to farms and cities in the parched southern regions. Not to mention, it promises to better protect the water supply from natural disasters like earthquakes, which is no small feat considering California's seismic reputation. But before you start envisioning this water-saving marvel, Construction isn't set to begin until the end of the decade, and even then, we're looking at a completion date of 2044 at the earliest. That's right, we're talking about a project that won't see the light of day for another 2 decades or so. So, who is bankrolling this massive project? Will it be the taxpayers who bear the burden of this financial behemoth? These are valid questions that demand answers. It turns out that 6 agencies are responsible for funding this project. First up, we have the Santa Clara Valley Water District, the San Joaquin River Exchange Contractors Water Authority, and the San Luis and Delta Mendota Water Authority, delivering CVP to farmers covering over 2,100,000 acres in 29 separate districts. And let's not forget the Kern County Water Agency, the powerhouse Westlands Water District, and the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California are also throwing their weight behind this project. Now, who will be left holding the bag of financial debt once this massive project is completed? According to the plan, it's not the taxpayers but the cities, water agencies, and an estimated 25 million residents, along with farmers tending to 3 million acres. They will be saddled with billions of dollars in debt over the span of 50 years, even during dry years when they receive little to no water. The Metropolitan Water District claims that each homeowner will only be out $5 a month, but skeptics argue that big projects like this have a knack for blowing budgets out of the water. They predict that the actual cost will make that $5 look like chump change. What do you think about this colossal project and its financial implications? Let's know in the comments section.